Hello, everybody. I'm John Locke, and I'd like to welcome you to the LockeInYourSuccess.com Trading Performance Podcast, where it's all about real traders, real problems, and real coaching. Listen up and enjoy the segment.
Well, first of all, I want to talk about goals in general, right? So,
Yeah.
SMART goals are fine, as are many other methods of setting goals. The critical elements in setting a goal, critical element in setting a goal is what we would call your evidence procedure, which is answering, how do I know with 100% certainty that the goal was reached? That's the biggest problem people have. They have very vague goals. Therefore, they don't know what to do because they're so vague. So the evidence procedure is number one. So in order to have an evidence procedure, right, by default, you would need to be specific, measurable, and probably time-bound. That's how you know you've got your goal. And of course, any goal you set should be relevant to your life in some way. The achievable part of SMART goals, I don't completely agree with, because the problem that most people encounter as it relates to goals is that the reason they're setting them in the first place, and the reason they're setting them is because they believe the goal is going to make them feel a certain way, whether it's happy, whether it's secure, whether it's free, or whatever. Now, the problem with this notion in general is twofold. First is that anyone who studied the field of personal development for a period of time will come to the realization that any human being with even a small amount of self-development training is capable of feeling any emotion at virtually any time under virtually any circumstance. Meaning that, if your only reason to reach this goal is to feel a certain way, you can feel that way now. You don't need to set the goal in order to do that. Now, what people will do is they'll have a set of rules in place for themselves. They'll set a set of rules. They'll say, well, I can't feel happy now because if I feel happy now, I won't accomplish this thing, which is supposed to make me feel happy, which is kind of interesting, because if the only thing you want to do is feel happy, you can feel happy now, right? That kind of sets you into this cycle or circle where you're not going to get anything done. So they're kind of afraid to feel happy now because they don't think they're going to achieve, which is completely not the case. Matter of fact, you're much more likely to achieve your goal if you're happy where you are now, and you go with that goal from a happy, secure place where you're feeling free. If you have a certain trading goal, for example, you're much likely to achieve the goal if you're happy, if you're secure, and you feel a certain amount of freedom than you are if you feel scarcity and unhappy and whatever other emotion you put in place so that in order to make you think you're going to achieve the goal more easily. Like I said, the reality is actually the opposite. Yeah.
Can I make a comment there? I thought, this is why I didn't want to necessarily jump in first. I thought you would take it down this path, which is great because you've got a special insight. So from what you've just said, obviously we have trading goals, right? We want to expand our skill set. We want to have better process. I mean, there's other goals than just dollars, right? And then of course you want to add size, trade bigger, and ultimately have larger outcomes. But from what you're saying, it sounds like don't do it for the wrong reasons, which is emotional, which may be subjectively we're thinking we want these things emotional, is to have the right mindset, right? Have the correct set and setting before you embark on these goals. Is that a fair sort of summary of what you were saying? Like, don't depend on
that is
your
emotion.
Okay.
Right.
And I think that's great. That's yeah.
Every action we take is because of an emotion. The reason you're scared to trade, the reason you're not confident, right, is because you set this big goal for yourself, and the emotions you're looking for the goal, the emotions you need in order to get the goal. Does that make sense? The emotions.
It's a little bit of a paradox, yeah.
It's a paradox, right? Right. You have to be able to feel these emotions. In other words, if I'm going to be a good trader, I have to feel secure. I have to feel abundant. I have to feel like I have enough money, right? Because that's going to take the pressure off me and allow me to make the decisions that I need in order to be a good trader,
right?
Or to reach my financial goals in trading. If I'm feeling scarcity, if I'm feeling not good enough, if I'm, whatever, anything in that category, then I'm going to have a lot of pressure. I'm going to be afraid of losing, and that's going to cause me to make poor decisions. And it's going to be much more challenging for me to get to that goal.
Right.
That's the issue. And the other thing is, we all want to be happy, right? Which we can create. But I think at a deeper, even a deeper level, we all want to feel fulfilled and that we have a direction in life. Because what makes your life worth living, right? It's a feeling of fulfillment and direction and that you accomplish something. My point being that goals set for the purpose of setting a direction, if you pursue a goal for that reason, you will feel fulfillment in the pursuit of that goal. We never feel fulfillment when we actually achieve a goal other than for a very short period of time, right? So I set a goal to make $1,000 in my trading this month. I make $1,000 of trading in my trading this month. What's going to happen? I'm just a lot of us, because we're intellectual people, and intellectual people are notorious for this, would say, well, that goal wasn't high enough, and we'll feel crappy about it. Right?
The opposite of what we initially set out to subconsciously feel.
Right. So now we've set a goal, we made a goal, we feel crappy about it. What's the chances we're going to actually reach the next goal? Are they better or are they worse?
They're worse, yeah,
right? Because
we're now associating achieving a goal with a feeling bad.
Right. So on one level of our mind, we want to achieve this goal because we think it's going to make us feel better, and our unconscious mind knows that if we achieve that goal, it's going to make us feel worse. We're going to beat ourselves up for it.
Right.
And people do this over and over again. Go ahead.
So having said that, that lays a good foundation to relate this back to more directly to Dan's question, is how would he specifically in his situation, he's going to feel like he's got aptitude in the rock by the end of the year, wants to go stage 5. How would he set up, I guess milestones are goals, but would you frame it more in a process set of milestones? How would you recommend? Yeah, go for it.
Just hold on to what you just said. I just want to finish something else here.
Okay,
right?
Good deal.
So with this goal thing, realize that your goal isn't to achieve the actual goal. Your goal is to set yourself in a direction. In fact, if you're actually achieving your goals, I would argue that your goal isn't high enough. Right? The reason people want to achieve goals is because they're trying to achieve that feeling that they can actually create right now, which would actually make it more likely they're going to achieve the goal. In the process of doing that, again, they're achieving goals, they're feeling bad about achieving goals, right? And even if you feel good initially, within a week, you're going to feel bad about it, right? You're going to be looking to set the next goal, right? So
this reminds me of a few years, maybe it was the Hawaii where what was it, the big hairy goal? Remember that was that concept of setting stretch goals, like almost unachievable.
Unachievable goals.
Is that where you're kind of heading?
Goals, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Right. We're setting impossible goals. Okay. We know they're impossible, but they're setting us a direction for ourselves, and we can feel, and we feel the happiness now in the achievement or the process of achieving that goal, rather than the goal itself.
Right. So you're on the right path. You're on the right journey. You're on the right direction. You're really saying that is the goal, and not the goalpost, so to speak, or the end zone, or however you want to, whatever analogy you want.
Well, yeah, and you can even relate this back to a diet, right? So I have a goal to lose 20 pounds. Okay. Why? Because I feel crappy about myself. Well, first of all, if you feel crappy about yourself, you're much more likely to eat a piece of cake so that you can feel better. Right?
Short-term relief.
Right. You're much more likely to search for that short-term relief. Second of all, even if I never reach the goal of losing, say, 25 pounds, if I set the processes up in place where I'm going to lose weight continually, in other words, I change my diet permanently. Right. In other words, if I make a drastic change, if I make a drastic change in my diet to lose 25 pounds, when I lose that 25 pounds, I feel that sense of relief. I'm going back to my old way of eating.
Mm-hmm. Right. That's it. Yeah.
How many times that
analogy
happened?
Really resonates. I got.
Right. I didn't put in a sustainable process to continually grow.
Right.
Okay. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So if I approach it differently and I just say, you know what, I'm just going to do all the things and I'm going to make it a part of my life of a person that weighs this amount of weight, and you make those changes, it doesn't really ever matter if you ever get to that weight, because you're eating healthy. You're healthy even at a higher weight.
Right. You went in the right direction.
yes, you went in the right direction, you made changes in the right direction, and continuously stay in that right direction, you'll just be at a healthy weight. Whether it's that exact weight or not, who knows? Maybe you'll be a weightlifter and you actually weigh more, but you're going to have no body fat, right? So
Right.
you don't know where that's going to go, but there's a big difference in those ways of approaching things. All right. So now, as you were
That
saying,
totally makes sense. Yeah, just
go ahead.
get on the right road. Yeah, we got a
Mhm.
little bit of a lag. Sorry about that. Yeah, just largely about getting on the right road and not just hitting the milestone and then feeling bad about yourself and going, well, where the hell do I go now?
Exactly. Or getting the money and then just going right back to where you were before. That's not any good.
Yeah.
So yeah, we see that in trading with people who find these trades. They have good recent results, and they're not doing the right process, but they're getting the results. They're happy. They get a certain amount of time. They increase their size, and then of course their trading system blows up, or goes through a bad period, and then they end up at a total loss because they're not really doing the right things to be a good trader in the long term. They're just trading this trade that happen to be doing well. Yeah, so
Right.
so it applies across all topics. But anyway, you were saying,
Yeah, just bringing it back to his specific sort of roadmap.
Yeah, so how professionals set goals, and professionals again aren't necessarily happy. So what feeling are you looking for? There are people who make tons of money in trading for the same reason. They want to feel good, they want to feel free, they want to feel significant or whatever, but they end up not feeling free or significant. So again, when you're setting your goals, just make sure that it's what you actually want, and that the process of getting there is really what you're focused on, and not so much the end result. Just make sure you're going in the right direction, you're on the right road, as Stephen would say.
And that is what I have for you today. If you have any questions or comments or anything else you'd like to see in the next Trading Performance podcast, please list that in the comments, and I'll personally answer your questions and comments for you. Also, I'd love to encourage you to come on over to lockeinyoursuccess.com. That's LOCKE in yoursuccess.com, and check out our Trading Performance and Pro memberships, where you can find the tools you need to become a much more effective trader, regardless of the type of trading you do. Thank you for joining me. I look forward to seeing you on the next Trading Performance podcast.